Hi, my name is John Light, and I've spent over 20 years working throughout all corners of the recruiting world. Our podcast, Drowning in the Tech Talent Pool, is a resource to help you stay afloat and get ahead of your competition. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Drowning in the Tech Talent Pool. I'm your host, John Light, president of Sabretooth Recruiting. And today, as we explore the intersection of tech and talent, I have with me serial entrepreneur in the tech space, Hirbod Bigvand. I got it right, didn't I?
Yes, you definitely did. How are
Doing
you?
great, Hirbod. Thanks so much for joining us today. And, I thought about, and some guests, I've done a little bit longer introductions, I guess, about them. But I know in your heart of hearts, you're someone who's an entrepreneur who likes to explore, grow, and develop, and your enthusiasm level is not only contagious, it's massive. So I was hoping that you could handle some
Thank you.
intro and share with our audience kind of your background, where you've come from, and what you're working on now.
Well, thank you so much for having me over here. It's a pleasure. Can get to know you a little bit more. My name is Hirbod Bigvan. I'm originally from Iran. I became the luckiest man in the world, and I got a lifetime opportunity to move to America when I was 16 years old. When I arrived here, didn't know anybody, couldn't even speak any English. And here comes the best part. I came here with no money. It's back then, John, I had nothing but all the hopes and inspiration in the world to be successful and to build a name for myself here. During college, I got introduced to the shiny world of entrepreneurship and startup. There was something about building your own company, building a team of very smart people, solving complex problems. I fell in love with entrepreneurship, and since past 8 years, been building startups after startups, failing, learning to get back up, failing again, getting stronger, and just keep doing it over and over until here I am right now.
Awesome, man. I mean, look, being an entrepreneur, especially a serial entrepreneur, takes a lot of resilience, right? And it takes a lot of resourcefulness, because of all the roles you can have in the world, it's one of those that you're asked to squeeze as much value, I guess, as a pithy way of putting it, as much value as you can out of whatever resources are available. And that can be a tricky balance. And so I'm curious, how do you find that balance?
I was just reading about this, how crazy you have to be a serial entrepreneur. So much pain comes with it. It's since the beginning, like you got to build a team. You got to make sure the team stays motivated. You got to focus on product. You got to focus on fundraising. You got to make sure your paperwork with IRS is correct. Otherwise, you're going to get penalty and pay $1,000 in there. Right. You got to make sure everything goes well. And it's so much pain comes into that. But it's the passion. It's the passion to do better. Passion to build a legacy in this world. Build a product that is going to solve thousands and thousands of people's life and make their lives easier. As long as you have that passion and you know your why are you pushing every day? Why are you staying so motivated? Waking up every morning, hitting the gym, getting into the grind. As long as you know your why, that's going to be a force that keeps you innovate and keeps you in the game as long as you could be in it.
Man, I'll tell you what, that's a lot for a lot of people, and what I've noticed is that people who really excel in the space are people who are naturally gravitate towards those qualities and characteristics. Not that there's anything wrong with any other type of characteristic a person may have, but that passion that you talk about, that's critical, and it manifests. It's funny to me because it manifests, and I'm a student of people, it manifests in different ways. Yeah, sometimes it just manifests the desire to continually learn. Sometimes it manifests in the desire to continually build, to create, to innovate, right? And the act of innovation, taking something from the mind. I'm just imagine this big thought cloud over my head, taking something out of that cloud and innovating, that is taking it and making that creation into something tangible that delivers solutions or drives value or improves processes or people's lives. That's a heady lift, and especially in a marketplace where
it definitely is.
Especially when everything's changing so fast like it is now. I mean, how do you, from an entrepreneurial perspective and a tech talent perspective, how do you adapt and stay up with that rapid change?
If you love what you do, it's just like being an athlete. I played tennis all my life, and playing tennis played a huge part into my competitiveness and the mindset to have to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Just like tennis, always somebody out there working harder, putting more grind into their craft, just pushing harder. If you are not going to innovate, if you are not going to work hard, if you are going to be distracted, you're most likely not going to win. So if you really want it bad, you're like, okay, like I want to go out there and build this massive company with very smart people that we all could come together and push through this vision that we have for this company. You gotta stay disciplined. And this being disciplined comes a big part of it. And I learned that in the hard way. When I started my startup journey for 5-6 years, I was so disciplined and I had one exit and I made a little bit more money. Then I kind of lost my discipline and I was just kind of like partying a bit more. And that taught me the biggest life lesson right there. God taught me that if I don't stay focused, if I don't show up every day and I don't grind as hard as I could, you could lose it all. And I lost it. Now I'm back in, stay disciplined, stay so focused. Every second counts. Just gotta put the time. Time goes very fast. Time is not gonna wait for anybody.
Right.
So stay on your craft, stay focused, all the eyes on one prize.
Well, I like you said it a couple times now, staying on your craft, right? Because you look back through history and we had people who were focused on being a craft. You were a good metal worker, you're a good woodworker, a carpenter, a house builder, a shipwright, whatever it might be. And as we see the development that's being driven by AI, as it proliferates, as these LLMs have gotten stronger and more powerful and more capable, I get a hunch there's going to be, my sense is there's going to be a lot of opportunities for people to be skilled artisans in a sense, in an entrepreneurial sense, because if you don't have to build the LLM, it's already sitting out there. You're just building your IP on top of it. But that specific application is going to be super critical or invaluable to someone. And so I really believe that the application of this technology is the frontier, more so than the technology itself, just in terms of our economy. And I was hoping you might be able to position, I don't know if you are or not, to share some information on your current endeavor and how you're using technology in that context.
I would love to share what I'm building right now. I'm co-founding a company called Cassius. We are on a mission to empower men's happiness and improve their dating lives. The way Cassius works is we offer one-on-one dating coaching to men who are achieving great things in their life. They have great jobs, they have a loving family, they have good friends. Their whole life, everything in their life works great. But when it comes to their dating life, there is some misconnects there. They cannot go on second dates. When they go on dates, they cannot seal the second dates, third dates. And there is kind of like a lack of communication in their dating life. For example, like when they meet girls, they get nervous or they don't know how to talk to girls. There is something going on in their dating life. So that's when we come in. We're building this company that is going to empower them, teach them confidence, help them to present themselves better. We're going to help them to get in shape. Overall, we are here to improve their happiness. And that's my company right now we're building.
Okay, and I would confession, mate, one of the reasons why I was really interested in having you on as a guest is, I've over the years, and 20 plus years in the recruiting business, I've interviewed thousands of people. And I remember years ago, I had this candidate, smart guy, good educational background, good career path. He's ready to take that next step. And I got him an interview and some interest sparked up at a client. First round of interviews, they loved him. Second round of interviews, he crashed and burned. Okay. Went and tried again with another client. Loved him the first interview. Loved him the second. Crashed and burned on the third.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what it was, but I had a hunch. So I brought him into the office and I sat down with him. We're talking, and the guy's smooth. Man, he's got it together. His answers are great. And I had taken the time to figure out who he met with and interrogate him on who he met with in each step of the way. And on a hunch, actually had a member of the team back then who had been a fitness model and was graced the cover of some magazines. I mean, was really into that into the training and the fitness and all that other fun stuff. And so I asked her to come in and just say hello and give her opinion on the guy. She comes into the room, and this poor fellow starts turning red. And sweat starts coming down his forehead. And I immediately went like, I
know what. Oh my God.
And as soon as I saw that, as soon as you and I talked the first time, I was like, man, this fellow could have really used someone as not a wingman, but just someone to help him overcome this. Cause you could tell his blood pressure probably went up 20 or 30 points. I mean, by the time she walked out, this is 5 minutes, he was beat red and sweating. And I felt horrible for him because
happens all the time. So this is what we're gonna do, John. We're gonna go find that man, get him on Cassius, and we're gonna transform his dating life. It's a huge right now. If you really look at it in the whole society, there is so much pressure on being a man. Mm-hmm. It's go ask every girl. There is so many videos me and my team have seen about this. There is TikTok videos that ask girls, what kind of man do you want? They're like, oh, I want my man to be 6'2", to be making $150,000 a year, to be tall, to be charismatic, to have nice cars, you name it, all the nice shiny stuff in life. And a lot of men fall short behind that. They don't hit that. And there is so much pressure on being a man right now. And it's so much, it's going on. Also, and next to it is very fascinating when you look at the numbers. Mm-hmm. Every 15 minutes, one man in the United States commits suicide.
Yeah, no, I've heard numbers like that. They're pretty devastating.
It's very, very touching. It's very, very heart touching. So when we look at these numbers and we're like, okay, let's go out there and change the world and build a better movement. Go out there and actually help these men, build them up, make them more confident, and reshape them into this man that they could provide and protect their family. And that's the vision behind Cassius.
Well, and there's a practical application beyond the whole dating world is helping someone be more confident in different contexts. Like the gentleman that, I figured out, well, he didn't have a problem working with women. He was just intimidated. He was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything negative that he felt or thought towards anyone. But a lot of times I think it's because men and women both in business settings and in personal lives, we misset or allow ourselves to let circumstances around us set expectations that are not realistic. I had a great interview, another podcast guest that dropped December 26 and 2023. And he has a rubric as a VC, as an investor of who he likes to put, what he looks for, these 5 points. Yeah. And the very first one out of the gate. Yeah, the very first one out of the gate is he wants someone who's 47 years old. And what shocked me about that, what caught my attention, is I've read anecdotally a lot of studies that most people don't become millionaires if they're going to become it until they hit 50. And we have this.
Yeah, it's very true.
But we have this expectation by the time we're 25, we're going to be worth $30 million. And that's not real. That happens, but it's not real for the vast majority of people.
It happens literally. I was doing a calculation of that a few days ago. The odds of that is by the time you be a millionaire by you're 30 years old, I'm getting kind of close to that age. I was just like doing the calculation. Is 0. Literally, there is a calculation on it. You could go and put this information in. It's 0.01% of chance to becoming a millionaire, because it's the reason of it is like now being 20. Now I just had my birthday a few days ago. Actually, I'm now 29 years old. It's mind blowing.
Stay that way for a decade.
How crazy, how fast time goes too. Life is very complex and complicated. All the decision, one wrong decision, not even one wrong decision, one decision could make a massive domino effect and change everything. So it's very difficult to get it all right from 20 to 30 or to 40. It's you gotta go learn, but it's not. I don't think the end result is being a millionaire. I feel like that is very empty. Actually, the result should be you building a product that has this amount of impact on societies, helping people's life become
Right.
easier. You are building an organization that employees are very, very happy. That's a huge part. If they're not happy, you're not gonna probably get there. There is more to look into than just like hitting
Yeah.
few
Well, I mean,
goals, hitting few
if you're prudent
amounts.
personally and you professionally deliver value of product and service to enough people enough times, you'll get where you want to go financially. I mean, that's always been kind of my view of it, right?
No doubt.
Um,
No doubt.
but
No doubt.
but you got to have expectations set properly, and your mission has to be proper. You talk about the why. That's, I think, a huge part of it. And it's funny because I kind of, my brain works a little bit differently maybe now than it did when I was your age and had more hair. Backing up for a second, we're talking about, well, how hard it is to build this wealth and hold on to it early in life. And again, it's exceptional when people do, and kudos to them. And look, I'm a big believer. I've seen people who have worked really, really, really hard their entire lives who are fiscally prudent in their personal lives. But I'm a big believer that time and chance happens to everybody. Bad things can happen.
It does.
The challenging things that are beyond your control. When my first wife was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and I ended up spending over 5 years as a primary caregiver and raising 3 kids, none of which were old enough to drive yet. I couldn't control that. All I could control is how I responded to it, which is to be the best caregiver and dad and husband I could be. But my expectations weren't that, okay, everything's going to be roses on the other side of this, because it's not. Every bit of it, every step of it is a challenge. And I think that I was fortunate in crossing paths with a couple of resources that really helped me. But I know there are a lot of men and women who don't come across those resources or think things through with help from someone who's been there, done that. And that's a big challenge, I think. So the idea of connecting people with coaches who can benefit them, even if it's on a fractional sort of basis, like I'm going to help in this area and someone else helps in that or whatever. I think it's a concept that people will take greater and greater advantage of as time goes on, because one of the reasons I believe that people primarily or mostly don't become millionaires until at 50 and later is it takes time to learn and to have enough opportunity to get there. To your point, and when I look at AI, when I look at AI, you talk about training a model. Isn't it the same process, even though it may be faster because it's automated? You got to take all this information in, digest it, and understand it in context, and what you did right, what you did wrong, where you could improve. I mean, it's a challenge. So a coach, a Sherpa to help you navigate life in that respect, I think that's smart.
It is. Up to this point, everything about your dating life, you did it individually. You were alone, downloading dating apps, messaging all these girls, or going to coffee shop or yoga classes, approaching girls and saying hi. Up to this point, it's been done by yourself. So what we're doing is, and Cassius is, we're building a support team behind your dating life. So you going there, doing you, and we're gonna help you to get there. We're going to tell you, hey, this is the approach. This is a better approach you should consider. Maybe you need to go. We give you options. Maybe you need to go to Pilates classes, go to yoga classes, go to gym. We're going to help you get there, because dating is very lonely. It's very lonely. It's just like entrepreneurship. We get a lot of rejection. You don't know what you're doing. You kind of like, it takes a lot of time. You might date for 1 year and still not have a girlfriend by the end of the year. So it's very similar to entrepreneurship. But up to now, we're going to help you get there. We handpicked the best experts in the world who has been doing this for years, who have 5 plus 6 years of experience, and they're going to help you and coach you to get to where your goal is.
How do you apply machine learning or generative AI to help facilitate that process?
It's a great question. The way we look at AI, we look at it as a co-pilot. So you're gonna have your one-on-one coaching, just like this one-on-one video on the app or on our website, and then the homeworks your coach is giving you, we're going to give those you're going to do your homeworks with your AI coach. So you're gonna have a real life coach, and you're going to have an AI coach. Our AI coach is not going to be text-based prompt we're going to kind of like more on audio.
Hmm.
Be like, okay, like let's practice your openers. Let's say how you're going to approach practice it with me. How about instead of you saying, hey, how's your day going? You compliment her on her clothes or what she's wearing. So it's kind of like an audio coach is going to help you get better and smoother
Okay.
at talking or wherever your weaknesses are.
No kidding. Wow. I hadn't thought about it in an audio context, but yeah, that would give people practice. And look, I coach people.
Practice is
No. I'm agreeing with you totally because I coach people on a regular basis prior to interviews. I do a prep call with everybody. And I generally give people an assignment. And in this assignment, they have to handwrite out their answers to certain questions. But the key is once you've written them out, 2 to 5 sentences an answer, is that you need to go pitch it to yourself. Stand in front of a mirror or record yourself giving these answers. And if it doesn't sound right, redo it. Because my philosophy has always been you can take a great developer and you just know, man, this person, they can knock anything coding wise, knock it out of the park, or a great product manager, whoever. But they're not really practiced and skilled in the art of interviewing. And there's an art and a science to it that if you just get some reps in and get some practice in, you'll look better than 95% of the other candidates they might talk to.
Yes, very true. Very true.
You know, the best advice I've ever got in relationships, and it's hard advice, and it pertains to marriage. And the advice is something like this: said that if you got a good marriage, keep working on it. If you don't, work on yourself.
100%. 100%.
And I think if you want to have a good life, you got to start with yourself, right? If you want to have good relationships, you got to start with you.
Very true. It's always you. Everything happens. This is the accountability part. I don't think a lot of people agree on it, but everything all the time, anytime is always your fault. It's always you. It's how you do things, how you approach things, how you do one thing is everything is always you. So if anything doesn't work out, it's usually you. But you got to take a step back, open your eyes, and look at the mistakes that you have made and admit it where you were wrong, and go there, work there. See where is the flaw coming from. Go there and improve yourself. But a lot of people don't want to have that talk with themselves. They always say, "Oh, she did this to me, he did this to me, or they did this to me." But it's usually most of the time it's your fault.
I don't know if I want to have that conversation with AI.
Also, it's very interesting because now 2024, 2023 has been the year of AI. Is everything AI? Well, a few years ago, it was the world of crypto and Web3. Back then, they were trying to solve the most complicated, complex problems in the world with blockchain. And now a year later, they're trying to use it with machine learning. It's just like a trend of Silicon Valley. It's just whatever the new technology keeps coming in, people are trying to solve all the complex problems in the world.
People problems are the most complex. I think it's probably more complex than figuring out gravity or whatever it might be. But you know, I sit back sometimes and see it from the perspective of talking about the hype cycle with technology, Silicon Valley and whatnot. There is still so much runway for machine learning, which is one of the stages of AI. But it's more of a static learning analytical scenario, you know, versus going back a little bit further. And I'm just doing KPIs and intelligence. Well, no, machine learning gives you more depth, but machine learning is not generating something that could be considered or synthesizing something considered novel. Now you're talking generative AI. We're a long ways off from artificial general intelligence. Thank goodness. I'm too old to report.
Much better.
We're too old. I am anyway to report to a robot overlord at present. But
it's happening. It's happening faster. Elon Musk is working on it. Optimus.
He's got a lot of stuff. But one thing I will say about the tech giants, Musk being one, leadership at Google and Microsoft, you know, data is the fuel for all of this. And those people have been collecting data forever.
They have all the data in the world. Tesla has so much data. I'm reading Elon Musk. I just finished it. Elon Musk biography. He's the most fascinating person ever. When you read it, how he started it, born in South Africa, coming to America, building all these companies. He's a very fascinating figure. I don't think anybody works as hard as he does. This man is, one day he gets done so much than the average person gets done in their whole life.
So there was an article that popped up in a UK paper recently where a parcel delivery company have replaced all their chat employees, all their customer service people for online and phone with an AI bot. A disgruntled customer got engaged with the bot and convinced it to create a poem detailing how horrible the company is. I mean, think about that for a second, right? It's like, okay, I've tricked this artificial intelligence into making a poem about how terrible this company is. And, we sit back and I think the transition, what a lot of people are missing, a lot of companies are missing, transitioning away from people and people-centric jobs might not be something you want to do today or even tomorrow. That may still be in the future, because even though, for example, with your platform with Cassius, you envision this image of you're going to talk to a human coach, but you're going to have homework with AI. And then back to the human coach. There's a human in the loop directing and guiding it, so that, and the last thing you want is the AI to tell one of your customers that, in poetic terms, roses are red, violets are blue, who looks like trash. Oh yeah, that's you. You don't want them ever going down that road.
That is very funny. It's the way we look at it is, I am always the one pushing back with my team whenever we chat with AI. We look at the dating landscape. All these new tech companies coming into the intersection of dating and AI.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think most of them gonna last 3 years. They are literally just building ChatGPT, putting a wrap on it, and helping you with your dating life. But these people, I don't think any of these people who building this chat AI dating assistants have done any research to talking to the people who actually might even use them. They don't know their life. These people who come into us, they come into Cassius, they need help. They don't want to come there and talk to the AI machine all day.
Right.
They're already talking to computers all day. They don't know the pain points. Instead of, we are here to actually go there, build them up, help them to become this better man that they always wanted to be, but they just didn't have a way to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Next to what I'm really excited about Cassius is the community we're building behind it. Every man that comes into Cassius is going to be part of our community. He's going to get mentorship. They're going to hang out during the weekends, go grab some beers. We're building this in real life community of men helping each other be better men.
Mm-hmm.
One long-term view we have for our community is raising a small fund for the people inside the community, that one day if they have a startup idea or they want to go out there and build their company, we will be their first check-in and be their first investor. It's the community part is I'm very excited about it. Just that real life, real brotherhood community, people going to help each other be better.
I think that's going to be a focus area that more and more companies are going to look at as the market continues to evolve. I'm a big believer that we're still going to see, and it's starting to build right now, I think, a big wave of entrepreneurialism, of startups and of companies that exist, driving new projects, like, and doing stuff like you guys are doing. And within that context, to your point, I think there's an analogy to be made. There's a parallel between dating and starting a business, or learning any skill, or dealing with anything where you feel isolated and alone. Because one thing that tech is a double-edged sword about is either isolating or including people. And anything that includes people,
it's mostly isolation.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, every time you see somebody grab, videos on TikTok, they're isolated, even if they're around people, because they're just looking at their phone all the time and probably deforming their brains.
It's so mind blowing to me too, how the people who look I know a lot of people, especially in college, just meeting people. I know tons of people, especially on social media, how they look fun online, they're traveling, they have this lavish lifestyle. They go for nice dinner, nice
Hmm.
dates, and all. When you meet them in person, they so not that person at all. There is nothing in this. They're not talkative. They're always on their phone. They just look so. They look very interesting when you actually get to hang out with them in their real life.
Yeah.
The online presence has nothing in common with the
Yeah.
in real life
It's an
presence.
image.
It's that is the part that technology is getting people a little bit way away from real life interaction. In real life is the most important element. The companies that make people meet online and bring them into in real life are the most valuable tech companies in the world. And in my previous startups, I've always tackled on this idea, building a social media app that has a in-core connection fusion of following each
Hmm.
other, messaging in the app, and bringing them to hang out in real life. Whatever app that does this is a very powerful application.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it brings value to people. And that's what we all look for in our relationships, right? Not necessarily monetary
It
value,
does.
but what is it? Is it Maya Angelou who says you may not remember exactly what someone said or did, but you always remember how they left you feeling? And there's a lot of value to that, I think, in human relationships.
Amen. Amen. It's always
Speaking,
on that. People don't care if you're a billionaire, but if you treat people wrong, people are not gonna like you at
yeah,
all.
yeah,
Just treat people with respect and how you want to be treated. It's very important. A lot of people forget that. A lot of people forget that.
hmm,
Just be nice to people. Nobody who knows who's gonna be here tomorrow. But I mean, while you are here, build a good network, build a good community, give back as much as you can, and genuinely be a good person. It's the karma of being a good person is so rewarding. God loves that. I'm a big believer in God. I love God. And I know God likes it when you treat others right.
yeah.
And that's
I
very
think
important.
treating other people right is a sound position to take at any point in life or anywhere in the world. All right. Speaking
For
of real
sure.
life, Herbot.
For sure.
Speaking of real life, what's the
Yes.
in a way, I would almost say, what's the secret sauce that drives you? But it's really about, what are you passionate about? I mean, everything you've talked about, I can hear passion exuding in your voice, right? So,
Thank you.
what is it that really gets you fired up? Is it the startup lifestyle, the serial entrepreneur lifestyle? Is it something outside of work? But what drives you every day?
This is a very good question. I like this question. This question makes me think because it's continuously evolving. And I'm gonna tell you how this is evolving. It to me, American dream, it's the number one huge the biggest elements of American dream to me is building your own company. This nation, this country, it's always been rewarding the capitalist system, always
Hmm.
been rewarding people who went out there, took a big risk, they said no to everything, they took a sacrifice, and they built their own company. Look at it from Rockefeller to all the way to Bezos and Elon Musk and Gates. It's always been the same cycle:
Hmm.
entrepreneurship, building a company, building that. Now I'm older, it's been almost a decade in startups. It's now I'm like, okay, like what is more into the American dream? Now finally got the answer is politics. I'm genuinely so interested about the political world. It's just being running for politics, making a massive impact and giving back to the place that gave you everything.
Hmm.
To me is Texas. I came to Texas 16 years old, tall, skinny kid, couldn't even speak two words in English. And Texas has helped me so much. The state made me friends. The state was so kind and friendly. I went to high school here. I went to college here. This is a very giving state, very full of kind and amazing people. So what would be wrong that this place giving you everything for you to come run for office and give back few things back to the state and make this platform, this state better for the next generation. So it's what really drives me is the idea of giving back to this place.
I'm not a person who has an interest, especially considering family and everything else, going into politics per se. But I do believe, yeah,
It's challenging.
yeah,
It's
it's
really
challenging for
challenging.
families and everybody. And look, a lot of people change. I think ideally going back to the almost the citizen statesman sort of mentality we had early in this country, where yeah, I'm going to come in and I'll serve, But then I'm going to go back to life. Politics isn't my
Yeah.
life. It's what I do to give back and help this country stay along the right path. And you know what? In some cases, it's required tremendous sacrifice. And in some
It
cases,
does.
it's just required integrity and standing on principle and being an idealist, if you will. And in other cases,
Anything worth fighting for requires sacrifice. Anything.
yeah,
It could be you wanting to be the best tennis player and wanting to win a Grand Slam. Boy, talk about sacrifice there. You can be drinking one sip of alcohol, no smoking, waking up early, grinding every day
yeah,
for years and years until making it to the top of the tennis rank, now going for it. Everything worth fighting for requires sacrifice.
yeah.
It's gonna take a lot more from you in that. To me is why politics. I love America.
Mm-hmm.
It's this nation. This is a very kind country. This country, a lot of people came here with broken dreams, had nothing, but they became very successful here. America has rewarded a lot of immigrants, and it takes immigrants now to wanting to run for office. Not just like a small position, not being the supervisor of a district or even mayor. Shoot for all the way to the highest. Go out there and make massive impact, and see where you land after.
I believe there's a thought from a former Speaker of the House. Not particularly a big fan of the guy back in the 80s named Tip O'Neill, I think it was. And he said, all
Yeah.
politics is local politics. And he said it in kind of this
Yes,
folksy way. It's still about getting out and being the human in the loop, in a matter of speaking, pressing the flesh, shaking hands, getting to know people, and giving them good feelings.
Last year, I talked to maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people, just going out there talking about Texas, talking about politics. How could Texas be better? How could, if you ran for politics, what would you change? When you talk to a lot of people, everybody just wants to have a nice life, wants to be comfortable, make sure the city works well. It's not that hard. I don't think it's that hard to really please people in that essence. Just be a solid person, have big visions for your country, and go out there and do it. It's more of the action.
Let people be people. Don't try to dictate to them.
Yeah,
That's
people don't lie.
Yeah.
Don't lie. It's just like the fundamentals are the same. The fundamentals are the same. America is a great country. It's going through big changes right now. And if you see yourself fighting for it, wanting to make it better, go out there and do it. We've seen a lot of people comment. Just Bebek came to the political scene last year. Big vision for the country. He went there, fought for it, and here he is right now.
There we go. Hey, Hirbod, thanks so much for joining us today. I mean, we've covered a lot of territory, and while we didn't necessarily go in and talk some very technical stuff on talent, man, I think the conversation around relationships, AI, and what you're working to bring to the market in Cassius is very intriguing, and hope we get a chance to talk again about it soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me over here. This was amazing.
Awesome. Thanks, Hirbod. We'll be talking soon.
You've been listening to Drowning in the Tech Talent Pool. This podcast is sponsored by Sabertooth. Sabertooth improves the quality of hire and speeds up the time to fill specialized machine learning, data engineering, data science, and developer roles, stretching tech recruiting budgets further by bringing the precision of retained search and the speed of contingent search to the market in one complete solution. Find out more at sbr2th.com and follow me, John Light, on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.